Here we're going to tie the red little spanker. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to start our thread here and lay down a quick base. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in our tail, which is some Woodduck. Fairly generous amount of fibers here, depending on the size that you're tying. You want those to be about half of the length of the shank of the hook, so I just measure that out. I'm going to tie these in right on top of the shank of the hook. Make sure everything's on here nice and smooth. There we go. Now we're going to tie in our wire, which is just some small silver wire. I'll also tie this in on the side of the shank of the hook. Now, once I've got that tied in, I'm going to take it all the way back to the tail. I'm going to smooth out the body here. The body on this fly is just going to be thread. So I lay down some nice, even, clean wraps. Now I'm just going to take that wire and I'm going to segment the body. Try to do so fairly evenly. There we go. And once I get to the thorax, I just capture that wire. Helicopter it out of there. Now we're ready to tie in the casing, which is going to be 6 strands of pearl crystal flash. I'm going to tie these in right on top of the fly. We're going to take those back about a third of the way back from the bead. Now we're ready for our thorax material, which is going to be just a few strands of peacock herl. Use anywhere from 2 to 4 strands depending on the size of the fly. Now once I've got those tied in, I'm just going to build up my thorax. There we go. And then we can capture the material. Trim off the excess. And we can pull over our 6 pieces of crystal flash. Secure those. Now we're going to take that crystal flash, we're going to split it up, 3 pieces on one side, 3 pieces on the other. I'm going to lock those down to each side. We're going to trim those about the length of the body, just a little bit shorter. Now we're ready for the collar, which is going to be a CDC feather in brown or tan. And we're going to stroke all the fibers back so we have just the tip portion showing. We're going to tie that in right behind the bead. And we're going to trim out that tip. I'm going to use my Hackle pliers here and attach it to the base of that CDC feather. Now I'm going to stroke all these fibers backwards as I wrap the CDC feather. Gets them to lay back over the fly nice and evenly. There we go. Now, once I get to the base of the feather, I'm just going to capture that CDC feather with my thread. I could trim out the excess. Now we're just going to stroke these pieces of CDC back. We're just going to clean it up and lay down some nice secure wraps. There we go. And we're ready to lay down just some dubbing up here at the head just to kind of cover up our work. Not too much, just about an inch or two on the thread. This will be just enough to cover up the work we just did. There we go. I'm ready to whip finish. Trim your thread and you're all done. That's the red Lil Spanker.